One time in my early years at Digiday, Troy came by for a visit and he
rallied the troops.
I asked him to say a few words to the troops. Some of those words were, "Your brand is shit."
Well,
that's like Trump at the UN.
But no, it was, he meant it in a good way. You brought it home. Should we get started?
Let's do it, man.
All right. Welcome to People versus Algorithms. I'm Brian Marcy, joined by Troy Young, Alex Schleifer. I've been in Paris this week. I'm in Milan right now. Like quite a little world tour here. Paris is a great city. I mean, I probably don't need me to say that. But you know, like yesterday, there was people at cafes. It was 2 p.m. I don't know if they're on a fiscal year, but Q4 was not bearing down on people. Really great lifestyle there, and a lovely city. I always enjoy going to Paris. I highly recommend it.
But I thought Europe was collapsing. What's happening here?
Not really.
I thought we had it good here, and over there was terrible. I thought that's what you keep telling me. Both of you.
Well, no, this is the thing. When you go on, I go on X, right? And there, it's like always, my feed is always like Paris has fallen and all this stuff.
I mean, I genuinely started to believe it. I haven't been back to Paris in a while. The last time I was there, I think, was during the terrorist attacks, for God's sakes.
It's the last place where you can still smoke in bed.
In bed? But only with your mistress. I can say that, I'm French. But you're the second.
A little anecdote. I remember there was a time in Regina when I shared a room with my older brother, who was 5 years older than me. And he's a rabid science fiction fan. So he would sit in bed and smoke. And he was about, 16. And he was smoking in bed in our house. And I was in the bed next to him in our shared bedroom. And he would come in at about 11 o'clock from the arcade or wherever he was. And he'd light up a cigarette. I'd be in bed sleeping.
That's dangerous. That's a very 80s thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Smoking in bed, bad idea.
Especially if it's
but there was a child next to him, Brian, in bed, sleeping.
All of it was bad. I'm not in favor of any of it. I don't like fire.
It's hard to choose where to start. But so, just to bring it back to Paris, you're the second person this week that told me Paris was amazing, and I was genuinely coming to terms with the fact that it was turning into a nightmare. But every time I go to Europe, I keep hearing that same thing when I went to England. It was delightful.
So here's I tie it to Mamdani, because they had a communist mayor there, or green, something of that nature. And I think when they get in, they get sort of handcuffed with what they can actually do. So they just put in bike lanes. So I think New York's going to have a lot more biking infrastructure and things, because Mamdani's not going to be able to do any of the other stuff. Alex, do you know about, I'm going to mispronounce it, Le Routier?
No.
These rest stop areas of,
It's a designation, isn't it?
It's a designation, because I went to this place, Aux Bons Crus, which is in Oberkampf, which is a cool neighborhood. I stayed there 8 years ago when it was not yet cool. It was still kind of scruffy. It's like an homage to these places on French highways. Their rest areas too are apparently amazing. And so Aux Bons Crus started, or not Aux Bons Crus, Le Routier was basically a stamp of approval, an association.
Oh, it's the travel guide thing, right?
Yeah. And it was where you could go. It started in the 30s.
Michelin guide, pre-Michelin
where you
guide.
could go to get a good meal, good atmosphere, steak free, nice wine list.
Sometimes it's at somebody's fucking house. I remember that. You just stop by, and I think they have laxer rules about food safety in France or something like that. So you'd stop by, and it would just be this, old lady that does great cassoulet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. In America, truckers don't eat cassoulet. They eat Whoppers.
Yeah.
We've discussed the
honestly,
drug habits.
both make you fart, so it's about the same.
We've discussed the drug habits, too, of truckers. They are notorious for that because they got to stay up at night. Anyway, I think it was a good metaphor I was thinking about writing, because it's, I think we need some kind of stamp of approval for content these days, because the AI slop is coming.
Well, I thought I hate that.
There's a business opportunity.
You sound like Casey Newton or something, but we should I thought you were going to use the metaphor for distribution as cassoulet.
What's that? Go ahead.
Well, I would have probably said that, OpenAI takes all your content and turns it into a smoothie, but maybe cassoulet is better.
We are going to need some sort of like verification of stuff. I mean, I can't imagine that's not showing up at some point.
But at least in a cassoulet, to extend the metaphor, you still can see the beans and bits of meat and stuff.
That's
The whole like Le Routier, like you have like a little sign like on the, it's a nice blue and white sign like on the window. So you know that you're getting something, you know what you're getting. It might be different, so it can be unique. It can be somebody's living room apparently, but you know that you're going to have a good time, have a good meal, and you're not, and importantly, you're not going to get sick.
You imagine someone coming out with that? We're going to do a national rating service of restaurants in America to ensure that you get a good product.
It's triple D, man. That's what it is. You already have that.
Do we?
Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives by Guy Fieri. Santa Rosa local Guy Fieri. This is how you go it. And actually, I think there's a little bit of a curse of the triple D, which is every time a place ends up there, it ends up shutting down long after. So if you look at the list, it's like pretty high percentage, but hard business restaurants. But yeah, no, I think we would need that.
One other note, I went to the Monocle Cafe and I recorded a podcast there with Tyler Brule. Retail's over 20% of their business now. It's kind of interesting. Publishers finding different ways to make money.
What percentage of their margin is the question?
Yeah, that's a good question. He didn't tell me that.
Yeah. Also, on the restaurant front, the top 50 restaurants came out, and one of them's in your neighborhood, Alex.
Oh, I mean, I'm surrounded by great restaurants, yes.
Oh, but there's one in particular.
Single thread?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other astounding thing is that 3 or 4 on the list are in Montreal, which for a city
that is astonishing, because if you've ever... I mean, I only went to the Maritimes, and I can tell you that eating there was an experience.
When you say Maritimes, do you mean the Maritimes of Canada?
Yes.
The Maritime region, Halifax?
Yes, Moncton, yeah.
Oh, Moncton.
They had a pizza and kebab shop where they had their special kebab sauce was, which I thought would be yogurt based or something, was condensed milk.
Is that good or bad?
What do you think? It depends if you love diarrhea or not.
Well,
yeah.
Sorry, some people listen to this in the morning. It's just a lot.
Does depend.
Yeah, we've already covered cassoulet and condensed milk.
One other quick note. I don't know. I heard this on another podcast that Gen Z is using Find My Phone as a new social app because scarcity is in. So you can only have 15, 20 people on your Find My Phone. And it's the ultimate of connectivity.
Well, it's not Find My Phone, right? So just to be clear with it,
it's not?
The Find My app they've merged them together.
Oh, Find My.
The Find My app has people and devices and items.
But it's usually used for parents tracking their kids, right?
Yeah, because you any one of your devices is being tagged automatically. So your phone or whatever, which is actually there was this huge thing with AirTags, being dropped into people's bags for stalking them and stuff like that. But you can add 15 people to it, or maybe more. I have at least, as always, ahead of the curve. I have at least 9 people on them, and 6 of them
you're
are my
using
friends.
it as a social network?
Yeah, I can see now my friend Václav is in Prague.
I thought you and Václav broke up.
We didn't break up.
Okay, hold on a sec. I always know where my wife is. I track her, but I don't let her track me.
Jesus Christ.
I don't like
Saudi Arabia is having this comedy festival.
That's true.
I'm just being honest. I don't like it when people can see my whereabouts. It feels like a bit of an invasion.
Yeah, because you're always late. And you would like you want the ability to lie.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it with Sora 2 came out this week. The Vibes app came out. I guess it was last week from Meta. Sora 2 is the update to the OpenAI video model. It can now generate longer, better video, and you can include Sam Altman. I saw some Sam Altman videos in there. They trumpeted a lot of copyright safeguards and whatnot, but they're going to have to strike deals, I think, with rights holders.
I mean, interestingly, on the copyright side, their strategy has been like they put a lot of safeguards. So you can't copy. They make sure that the face you're using is your face. They have all these testing things. But on the copyright side, you can pretty much ask it to do most things, and they put the onus on the copyright holders to follow up on that. And I think they're probably looking at YouTube and the tools that YouTube build as a great way to manage it, which is you flag things and then you let the copyright holders manage all that crap. You don't want to be in the middle of that.
So this seems it's a direct competitor to VO3. It's going to be more, I guess, social in some ways. Vibes seems like a true, if I can be Casey Newton for a minute, AI slot machine. It got panned pretty roundly for AI generated video clips and being able to remix all those fantastical, weird AI videos. I'm staying away from
but
all of these.
What do we think? What do we really think about these things?
What do we really? I'm interested in what it says about the direction both AI is going at these companies and what their priorities are. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I'll tell you what my reaction was. First is the cameo feature was a smart enhancement of what Meta did. Like the gravity, the consistency, the video quality was way better with Sora 2 than it was with the Meta thing, but that's aside. Starting it with your own likeness and
explain how it works, because I think it's very
you there's a feature called cameos, right? You turn it on, you scan your face, you
make sure that it's you.
Samples your voice,
yeah,
and then you become the star of the show.
Yeah.
And so my first reaction is that these little movies are the new selfies, and that there will be reaction like there was to the People's Subway promotion where, people were like, do I really want a recording device around my neck?
a friend.
For whatever it's called, Friend, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think people will react negatively and there'll be backlash, but it will become a really important new communication format. And, I have this friend, I don't know if you know him, Alex, his name is Christian Haas, who was a collaborator back in the old days at Organic and was always a great storyteller. He's now a senior creative person at Google. And he was, he always was into filmmaking, and I saw a video that he posted this week that he made with AI. It was this story of a Russian scientist and a dog. It was really incredible, like a really incredible short film that Christian wouldn't have been able to make under, any other, circumstance other than having these kinds of tools available. And so I think that even if the use case, like Meta's use cases was maybe their launch of the product was maybe suboptimal, and OpenAI's was slightly better, and you can question whether or not people will adopt a social network that's just a video feed that you're making. Like, I think that those things will shift and change, and maybe the value proposition of a kind of AI video social network won't sustain, but this type of creative expression will sustain. And I think that it means that more of our communication will be video, that the already disrupted category of, media and then specifically entertainment will come under more pressure. And that this is like a sign, like this week was filled with signs of like real things, agents. Pulse is just an agent for mass market.
Right. That's just, jumping into.
Well, I'm just broadening it.
I'm more about Pulse than I am about these.
Sora 2 was a really, really incredible video model where you're the star. It's the new selfie. Then we have the commerce one that we'll talk about. I'm saying all the things that people are talking about in terms of massive disruptive potential of AI are coming true.
Okay, let me get Alex on the creative implications of this, and then we'll run through all of the ones and we'll tie it together.
I mean, maybe to structure it a little bit, because I needed to kind of formulate a thought. It's like, there were a lot of AI releases in the past week or two, right? And so we're going to go through some of them. I think we've seen basically like.
Did I mess up the format?
Attacks. No. I think you meandered,
which is kind of
it's your brand. You what do we think? And then you said, here's what I think. So I think on three fronts, there's been kind of advancement by AI, by both, OpenAI has been, very fast at launching product, but also stuff from Meta and Google. One is social, right? With these new social networks based around these video generation tools. This is where the money's going to be for them because, they're not going to make a ton of money selling these tools to studios so that they can generate movies. They're going to generate it as a mass consumer product. And then, we're going to talk about the other products which are, kind of encroaching into media and then also commerce, right? But when it comes to social media, we saw specifically Vibes and the Sora app come out. OpenAI has really learned a lot about how to become a consumer product through ChatGPT, I feel, and the Sora product is a much kind of more focused idea where you upload yourself.
Maybe they also learned from Google, Alex, because Google's power is its ability to be both B2C and B2B.
Although I would say that Google doesn't have a huge, that Google's track record is spotty at B2C.
What are you talking
B2C.
about?
I think it is.
What about Google search, homie?
I think that.
What about Gmail?
Yeah. Wow. What about 2002? Amazing, Troy.
Well, no, I'm not talking about.
What about that last?
I'm talking about the number of consumers that use their product. I'm not talking about.
You're just telling me the Grateful Dead is great at releasing albums. Like, yes, they were,
but they were notoriously missed social. Orchid.
The AI release, like Bard and Gemini. Do you understand Google's AI strategy now? Where do you go? What do you download? They'll get there because they have everybody.
I'm saying that Google's ATM is dependent on a consumer product. That's what I'm saying.
Right. But I think OpenAI has been much better at releasing kind of brand new products that people immediately get. Here's what's happening at Meta, right? They have no taste and they broadly copy things and they will copy all of OpenAI's good ideas with this. But the thing about Vibes is I think they want to test the public's interest, and is everybody going to get disgusted? Are people going to hate it? Because the dream is to have all of this content generation happening on Instagram, right? And create more surface area for advertising and really compete with TikTok. Because like, do you know the 1-9-90 rule? Have you heard of that before?
No.
So social media, most kind of public forums have this, like 1% creates content, 9% engages with the content, and 90% just scans it, right? If they can shift those numbers a little bit and make it like a 20-80 rule, right, where 20 people create content, it changes the entire surface area of things. It means that
what's important to put into context. I think the world's greatest imitator might be the way to describe Meta.
Yes,
and I think that just like there was negative reaction to their Vibes product this week, there was tons of negative reaction to Reels. Instagram just hit 3 billion monthly uniques.
Absolutely. It's unstoppable.
It's really unstoppable, and it is on the strength of Reels, which was a copycat of TikTok.
Well, like Stories really kicked it off because they were like, we're not even gonna we're totally ripping it off from Snapchat.
Yeah.
100%. We're noticing that like Zuckerberg's ability to have no shame.
Yeah, that's a moat.
It's a moat. I think
the thing that maybe
part is led by an innovator who wouldn't do that. And
I
that's
don't know
why
if you guys see this, but part of the thing is, people may be retreating to private spaces like, refactoring Find My Phone for their own personal network. But 3 billion people on Instagram. And what I see lately, I've been messing with my algorithm, and the amount of quality news, both consumer news and B2B news and industry news that I see on there is pretty staggering. From like Bloomberg to guys that are disrupting ad industry news with, I think, much better takes than like Ad Age or Adweek or whatever. And it's just that format that mixes, now it's largely video, but video, images, and text is extraordinary. And by the way, their ad products are amazing. Like, I find tons of stuff on there that I like that comes via paid promotion.
Yeah.
So it's like they kind of
on Instagram.
on Instagram. Tons.
Yeah, but do you trust? This is the routier thing. Like, do you trust them? Like, I'm in the like lamp.
I'm wearing it, brother.
I'm in the lamp segment right now, and like, I don't trust like underscore outlight. I can't like. I like the looks of this thing, but like, there's so many people who are shipping crappy products on there. But I don't personally trust most of the Instagram products.
Look, here's the thing that I hear pretty consistently about Instagram. Everybody uses it. Everybody buys shit off their ads. Everybody fucking hates it and wish they used it less. And it's really interesting. And I don't know if that means anything over time, but I don't think it's going to be made better by AI slop. I'm already getting plenty of advertising that is entirely AI generated with fake podcasters and fake doctors talking about stuff. And it's not going to get any better. I don't know if
Have you bought any ED products?
What I wonder about this is, going
it took
down
me a while to figure out what ED meant. I was like educational domain. No, all right. I'm not as in the lingo as you. And I know you've got your.
There's no stigma. There's no stigma.
No, of course not.
What I'm interested in is they're going to try to play in every lane, right? But they came out with Pulse before Sora, and like I'm more into the Pulse. I have I pay them a lot of money every month. And so I've been using Pulse, and I think it's a really fascinating product. And it's like a daily briefing that you get. I told it to I said, I'm going to be in Europe this week.
I remember we discussed it last week. I think that you were not.
I know you want to get me. Look, I change my mind when things are new facts. There's nothing wrong with being skeptical.
Always listen.
There's nothing wrong with nothing wrong with being skeptical. It's an advantage. I actually am impressed with Pulse. And
oh, wow. Are you paying $200 for it? It's
well, I ended up paying $200 for the deep research, and then I forgot to turn it off. So I'm still paying. I'm still paying for MLB TV. I haven't watched.
Media business is paying well. It's all those.
This is the
webinars.
Well,
you don't even notice.
No, I have to be up on these things. Anyway,
I get it.
So
he spends on the dollar, Alex, because it's business expense.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little clunky right now. But it learns from all of your interactions with ChatGPT and personalizes your updates and what it means for you, and you tell it what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. What I found interesting is it really makes news a feature of the product. It's not the main part of the product, but it creeps in there, but just tangentially. And of course it's, it's all about the topic. It's not about, the source. It's not the New York Times, blah, blah, blah.
And do you care?
No. But once you hook up your email to it, your calendar and everything else, I think this direction to me, and maybe it's just because we continue to have problems with me moving the calendar invitation, is very attractive. Less so though. I don't need another freaking app to watch.
I don't know, man. I don't want to start to sound like Alex here, but this product it really does show you where things are going, and it really rips the interface away from anybody that makes things. And I want to extend it to commerce in a second. I will, but the Pulse thing is really important because what escapes that vortex that someone just took away, that interface point that someone took away from you. And the only thing that I guess escapes it is you want it to search the New York Times or the FT or someone who you pay for reporting, right? So that will presumably make it through, and you would want Pulse to, go with you on that journey, i.e. authenticate all your news sources. But once that happens, they completely lose interface primacy. For me, I would just use this instead of all the other sources I pay for, because you could ask it to go through the Wall Street Journal against a brief and just kind of bring it back to you, right? And if you were Alex, you could have it read it to you. And so the same thing is happening that's happening to media is happening in commerce, because now what is commerce but a database of SKUs, products, right? And now they've loaded Etsy and all the Shopify SKUs into ChatGPT, where you can not only find them, but pay for them there. And what I found amazing about that is that the way you query the chatbot is incredibly nuanced, and its responses to you are very nuanced. And to put that on top of the world of products is pretty amazing.
I know, I'm pretty sure that like the products that we're talking about now are something I outlined beat for beat like 2 years ago when this stuff started coming out. Just like saying, look at the user.
Okay, these Alex victory laps are tiring.
I mean, I'm Ben Thompsoning here. Let me do it. Let me
like quote myself from 2013.
No, it is. I hope it becomes something useful. Number one, I'm always overly optimistic about technology, so I try to integrate it into my life quicker than most people, even before it's ready, right? Like I know that I do that, so I go through a lot of pain of things that don't work well. But the idea is like you should always look at the user and like what the behavior of the user is, like whether it's for media or commerce and stuff like that. And when you have an interface as profound as talking to an AI that can come back to you with information that is much more nuanced and filtered through a million filters, right? What it's doing essentially is maybe you could run this Google search, but nobody goes through a hassle of adding all these filters and seeing which sites to. It does that for you. Then all of a sudden it's like you're compressing that interface into something that feels the layers of abstraction between you and the thing you want to do get fully compressed. And of course, then the person that owns this interface has the ability to do that. They have the ability to
so easy to extend out the commerce example in a million ways. And
a million ways.
Like, I want to see it on me. I want to see it on my friends. I want to see it in my closet.
Buy it and send it to Bob.
Yeah. Like, or Alex, you think about then what does it do to the merchandising imperative at the retailer? What does it do to how they, need interface to cross-sell you other products, right? Yeah. What does it do to the substance of their relationship with you?
Right.
What does it do to their margin?
Then what does a photo shoot look like? Well, a photo shoot now is you take a bunch of pictures of something in front of a green screen because the only way I want to see the shirt is on me, right? And so when you're looking at like, paying $200 for that Pulse thing is like sounding more and more like a great deal. And the fact that like the only thing that's stopping this from being like truly transformational is that they don't have a button on the phone that calls it, right? The first person that gets a button on the phone that calls this, it's like it's game over, man, right? And I just had a demo from my engineering team showing how we integrate Claude into our code. And he looked at a piece of code, he goes, that somebody else wrote, and he goes, and code is, the thing that works the best today. But like, and I knew it could do all the stuff that they were doing, but it was truly profound, right? Clean this up, do this, send it to this person, make sure that this doesn't happen. And the more this happens to our daily lives, I think that like OpenAI is actually like they're releasing so fast because they want to maintain that position. And I think that once this kind of Pulse thing gets polished a little bit and released on kind of like the $20 or even the $0 tier, they become everybody's front page, like Yahoo in 1996, right? Like totally. Why not?
100% agree.
Yeah, what I find interesting is like it personalizes like news for what it means for like me personally. Like It's not personalization done because I'm talking to it constantly about things. So it'll mix all these things in. It's like, oh, here's an idea for your webinars or something, and that it's just in, and it's also finishable, which I thought was also an interesting product choice. It's only 10 things. And then it says you're caught up. It's not like an endless stream of things.
Right. It's a different, they're tracking engagement. They're not tracking engagement as much as they're tracking utility, because they know if you have utility in it, you kind of keep doing that. I mean, it went from like not trusting the answers to connecting my email to it.
Yeah.
To connecting
You'll notice, by the way, that the meta prompt on ChatGPT, I suspect others, always defaults to, and what's next? What can I do for you next?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
I will say, I have one product request, if anyone from ChatGPT is listening. I want to turn off the freaking engagement questions. Stop. It's like in the middle, it's like, okay, we're like doing it. And it's like, do you want me to put this into a Notion one pager? And it's like, please just stop.
Well, I have a product request. I think while we're here, I want it with Pulse to authenticate my paid news sources and use that as the starting point for its retrieval, busy work. I want it to go to the Financial Times, to look through it, with my authentication and bring back that stuff to me.
Yeah, I wanted to learn how to use all the paywall bypassing tools that I use. But I think you can see though, like there's still such challenges with the interface right now. Like it doesn't, using ChatGPT right now feels like calling a friend, and then you kind of have to hang up on them, rather than having this thing that has a wake word, right? Hey, blah blah blah. Hey, computer, do this, and then just stops when you're done until you ask it another thing, right? Once it gets to that, I think it'll become like persistent, and the only thing stopping it now is integration into the phones. But my commutes now, I spend time chatting to ChatGPT, and it's writing me.
You should call me, Alex. I'll talk
email. Yeah, but you're less supportive. My ChatGPT is. I like how nice it is to me. It's like, that's an excellent question, Alex. You've never said that.
Well, can I broaden this, Mr.
I heard
Host?
you randomly called Trevor Kaufman while we were in Paris.
I did. Yeah.
He's like, I hadn't talked to Troy in 2 years.
Yeah. I had something for his benefit, not for mine. But
No, you're a man of the people.
the thing that I wanted to go into is I read all of this stuff, all of the launches that we just talked about with interest. And then I saw the New York Times note about the World Newsletter. And I thought, good on them for sort of getting the brief, because actually, I want to back up a sec. My meta thought was kind of something you were on, or at least you were giving vibes of last week, Brian. And it was, oh my God, we trade in these long essays. And before Alex does another fucking victory lap,
Oh, no.
I just want to share this with you, Brian. I'm putting him out of my view.
We'll
It's
meet
that
Alex.
I sometimes privately will write an essay that I think, it's kind of good, and it was fun to write.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nobody cares. They want bullet points. They
I think
want like Emily Sundberg style, like just quick hits. And I'm like, text and is dying.
Wow.
I know that. That maybe that's harsh because a lot of people will read for a long time, but my kid doesn't read articles and he's really informed.
Yeah,
So
I don't think it's great.
that the
I don't think it's
format
great
of an
time.
article is deteriorating.
So let's talk about the world a little bit. So this is a global newsletter. It replaces the morning
In fact,
briefing.
they don't call her an editor, Brian. They call her the host.
Okay, that's interesting. This is Katrine Benhold, I guess the host. Apparently she wants the world to be smart, short, and delightful. It's going to be personal, video heavy, emphasize food, entertainment, fashion, travel, daily quiz. This gets to something like the newsletter.
What is this? Is this like a newsletter?
It's probably one of the biggest newsletter lists in the world, I would think.
Is it a New York Times one?
Yeah, they have
it's
the morning
global
for
one
like
for Europe
US.
and Asia.
This is their global one. Troy, you like this as a product? Because to me, it's like the newsletter format is I feel like it's a little tired, but that could be me. I'm about to send
Well,
them out.
again, this is what I'm saying to you. I'm Substacked out, man. I don't want to read long shit from people on Substack. I just don't. I think it's insightful that they're going to create a newsletter that does what people want, which is...
Yeah, but it's like...
But the problem is that the format of a newsletter doesn't work very well, because all it then becomes is a list of links, is you can't watch a video or play a game in an email.
Right, but we're kind of in the Titanic talking about what floats best here. It doesn't matter what the fucking format of your newsletter is. You could be all that stuff is going to be, hey, what's happening in my newsletters, ChatGPT? Forget, the bullet list one's going to win out?
I know.
No, nobody gives a shit.
All right, Alex, let's not be too harsh. We some newsletters on this, okay? I mean, you've already gone after the webinars pretty brutally.
But we just talked about how this thing just pulls all the things. The format doesn't even matter anymore because Brian might want long meandering articles that use lots of adjectives. I want a short list read out by Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, that's fine.
We will get, computers are going to give us what we want. That has always been the deal with anything.
So can I be a bit of a snob?
Simplifying our lives. We're lazy. We're simplifying our lives, and it's just going to inject.
Okay, that's
straight
the point.
into our
We're
veins.
lazy. I'm a word cell. I think that tech people call. It's not a
And
term
you know
of
what?
endearment.
I think that there's
of endearment.
there's a huge bias right now in all the coverage because it's all writers. And I can hear all these takes of people and it sounds like writers talking. I get it. It sucks.
Well, not just writers, Alex, but liberal ones.
Yeah, sure.
This has nothing to do with politics.
I mean, it's,
look, it's lowest, but I think the risk is it becomes lowest common denominator stuff. But I will say though, however, like to Troy's point about Instagram, because the Instagram algorithm has really improved. I think it went like in a weird area, like for a little while. It was like, I was like, this is not, you're stereotyping sort of me with the things you're shoving down my throat. But now it is, I think, dialed in. And I'm getting all of these people who are breaking down. There's a lot of like independent people who are breaking down like brand strategy, seemingly.
So many. And by the way, a lot of them are really good.
Yeah, no, they're really good. Like
that guy from Australia, that Asian guy, he's great.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I think, there is like formats do change. And another, Alex was right. Things are going shorter.
We call the episode this. I think this is the title of the episode, right?
Because text had a good run, and I just feel like sending 1,000 words to people like I'm about to do is a little rude. I think it's like kind of rude now.
It's funny because I think at the same time, text is never more important than it's ever been. People text themselves more than they talk. People text with the interface. People read probably more words a day than they did in the heyday of magazines. In all, right? It's just that text is going to be a very hard place to make money from, to package, right? The packaging of text is what is becoming really difficult.
Yeah, I think there's something else, Alex. I think text becomes more utility-based than kind of entertainment.
That is something with Pulse. Like they've really made it like very, very spare. It is not trying to have any kind of personality whatsoever. It is full on utility. And as you said, like I think that can win out in a lot of cases. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be a market for people to read a long New Yorker profile. There will be a market for that. I don't see why not. But I think the problem is a lot of publishers are trafficking in kind of middling text content. It's the typical 700 to 1,000 word news article, which is 60% B material, and so that needs to change for sure. Did you see our favorite publisher, People Inc., the artist formerly known as Dotdash Meredith, which owns not one but several recipe sites that Alex has repeatedly declared to be cadavers? They have gone out and acquired yet more food content, but they've acquired FeedFeed, which is a creator network of 1,000 food influencers. It's their first acquisition in really, I guess, since they bought Meredith. This is a move into more creator-driven, social-first content, and I think that I don't know, Troy, what do you think? Because these brands have to do this. They have to go in this direction. I mean, one data point just to say, it's like, I can remember when they were Dotdash and it was like 75% of their traffic was from Google. It's like under 30% now. I mean, and Neil has done a very nice job of continuing to grow that business while the distribution has completely changed.
I remember back when Maker Studios sold to Disney for like $600 million. I think I brought this up before.
MCN. Back in the MCN heydays.
A network of creators focused on YouTube. And when that asset hit Disney, its kind of value quickly evaporated. I think that seeing these kinds of businesses always made publishers react with a little bit of what am I? Where's my value? So these creators aren't sitting underneath of a brand. They're not benefiting from this story that I've told myself for decades, that it's all about kind of fitting writers that can be dispensed with underneath of something really valuable, which is my brand and the reader's relationship with it. It's a network of creators and you're just an ad network sitting on top of it. And maybe you provide, production services, or maybe if you have a good network, you can kind of create referral benefits between the nodes on the network and all of that. But it's got to be an admission that this is where the game is shifting. that those creators are becoming more and more. I mean, this is an old memo. Like the action is on platforms with independent creators. And now what's happening, this is why all of this news fits together, is that AI is just making it easier and easier to be creators, because the third video story of the week wasn't Sora or Vibes. It was YouTube giving their creators more and more tools to make cool shit.
Yeah. And
Right?
the way we're going to see that, I mean, not only advertising tools using AI, but like a lot of like making the production feel more professional. All this stuff that would cost a lot of money usually is going to be automated. Just to go back to that text thing, I think that people are rabid for content, right? And text used to be the cheapest way to get your content out there. But all of this content, to be really successful today, needs to be turned into either like a passive consumption medium like audio, or a more active consumption medium like video, right? I mean, this is just to simplify it. And both of those places do not benefit a ton from being under a brand umbrella. Like video is just like, go on YouTube, do your thing. Audio is just, you start a podcast. And so those old websites, where do they sit? They don't have, massive deals with YouTube. Like it's actually very hard to gain anything from being attached to an already successful channel, because your videos are just going to be distributed via algorithms, And if you look at just writers are going to be okay. And you know why I know that? Books are flatlining. Book growth is like flat to single digit growth, but audiobooks are exploding. Audiobooks are growing 6 times faster than textbooks. They're growing at 26%.
I can't get into audiobooks.
It doesn't. I know you're a writer. You like looking at words. I get it, man.
I like podcasts.
I get it. Yes. Some guys couldn't get to deal with I don't like cars because I can't hold the stirrups.
Alex just got
easy on us.
Cocaine eyes. He just
go easy. Go easy on us, okay? The word cells are not exactly on a winning streak.
You're there. Just imagine you write your stuff, your words and stuff like that, and you put it out.
Oh, the little shit you do, Brian, as a writer.
That's fine.
Mean something.
You just like keyboard cats, you just like flap around on the keyboard and then
flail away in your own private little literary hell.
It's a craft.
But what's going to happen more and more is that this content will be able to exist in different formats, whether or not you want to record them or not, whether or not you want to put yourself in front of the camera or not. And when it does, there is no real space for these big networks of websites. Like they can't give you as much of a benefit. So you're fine, I think.
So Alex, now
people
that
like content,
completely dominated this episode, and for good reason, because you're always right, and about this stuff, it seems. One of the things that I've noticed is I do it with Instagram, and I'm not proud of it. I use my phone a lot when I'm watching TV, and what it says to me is that this stuff just is going to continue to eat away at expensive production. There's all the stuff that people are feeling in the publishing world, and then ultimately, as we discussed, probably in retail and in audio, now that everybody can make audio, is going to come for entertainment.
I think people want a diverse media diet. But what happens now is that the media diet is becoming more and more diverse and more dispersed, which means that it's not that, social media will entirely replace production stuff. It's just the production stuff needs to get cheaper.
I didn't say it would replace it, Alex. I never thought it would happen this way. I just always thought of sort of, social media and YouTube as being distinct layers that would eat up attention at a different part of the sort of attention spectrum. And I didn't think that it would have as powerful effect as it's having on entertainment.
I mean, it's hugely addictive, right? Like if you look at We Don't Like to Be Bored, and phones are actually a massive mental health problem, I feel like, because they're always with us. Like if you think about it, the average number of hours spent on phones, that doesn't mean that they're not watching TV or not on their Peloton or not with friends, but spend like looking at their phones per day is 7.5 hours for anybody 16 to 24. It goes a little bit down. And
just replace TV. I mean, remember, like it was always, the average American watches TV like 11 hours a day. And now it's, the average
But
American
that's like including like
stares at
your
their
work.
phone.
That's including your work time, etc. And I think you couldn't take the TV into the toilet. You couldn't take the TV into the subway. You couldn't take the TV into work. Like that, it has fundamentally changed. But you see like media shifting around it, right? Like everybody's being asked right now from just coming back from the Tokyo Game Show and hearing from people like in Hollywood. Like spec scripts are kind of back because people want smaller scripts, movies that they can make for $20-30 million, and they don't want to have these massive $200-300 million Marvel movies anymore because they need to take smaller bets. Video game budgets are being slashed. People are saying, forget 200 million, forget 50 million. We want $5 million games. And so just the budgets are changing. The risk tolerance is changing because you don't have these like singular massive events anymore. And all that's changing. And I think the media landscape's just going to be very different. But people still want content. And people don't only want free content that somebody does in their bedroom. I think it's going to be a mix. I watch YouTube. I'll watch the James Bond movie when it comes out. All of these things are possible. It's just that the money you spend on those things is unsustainable at the moment. I don't understand why Hollywood movies cost so much. Like a cheap movie, $30 million? $30 million?
A lot of people got to eat.
Yeah, like fancy craft services.
Have you ever seen the like spreads they have? I'm not saying they don't deserve to be well fed, but I'm just saying like if you go by like there's a lot of movie shoots in Manhattan and some of that looks pretty good. Cloudflare introduced this metadata signals to mark ownership and trustworthiness of content. This is all part of its trying to position itself kind of on the side of publishers against the AI crawlers and indexers. And they're using this to identify provenance, and they want it to become a standard if adopted by publishers. I find Cloudflare a really interesting company because it is the one tech company that has outwardly positioned itself as very pro-publisher. I mean, Matthew Prince, the CEO, has been out there banging the drum about how journalism in particular as an industry is at risk of being wiped away because of the AI engines, let's say, expansive view of fair use. And this is all part of, the problem of all of this, it's like, okay, great. But if the other side, it's not a negotiation if the other side doesn't want to negotiate, there's not a reason for the AI companies necessarily to negotiate yet. Now, there has been movement from some of them. Microsoft, for instance, has. And, maybe others do follow. I think the biggest issue is going to be the amount of money that they're going to pay is going to be far lower than what publishers expect to get. Age-old problem.
Yeah. They've really managed to just build the perfect Napster that cannot be. It's the perfect Napster. They've always wanted to build that. And actually, every time I watch a Sora video, I think about the hours and hours and hours of video that people slaved over and created and put their work.
Because the plausible deniability is baked into the product. You have to have plausible deniability.
It's really like kind of obscene when you think about it. Like it is hard to talk about because like, I don't know how you manage this, but it's just like this would not be possible without the ingestion of
the tragedy really is good on Cloudflare for finding a marketing opportunity and enhancing. It's nice to market against a sort of a class of people that are kind of seemingly outgunned and distressed and championing their efforts. It's another intermediary that you are ultimately going to have to pay a toll to, in addition to kind of managing, this new interface that's creating and taking most of the value. So I think it's important. It's, to be able to manage what your content is training and, separate out that which benefits you, which is a link inside of Google from Google training on your content, and managing the robot dialogue that is undermining your business seems like a good thing. It's just another expense for publishers. And I think that it's needed, but shows how difficult the world is.
Yeah. It's interesting. I saw some data at the event I was at here, and it was about AI overviews and where they've been applied. And interestingly, they've really gone after health and like utility content, not news. Like news, they don't. So actually news has actually benefited because Google is sending a lot of traffic through Discover to try to keep the numbers like kind of normal. And that all goes to like news content. But it's the evergreen content and it's the information and utility content. Like the number one is like science content and like health content has.
That makes sense though.
Yeah. Well, I think there was some thought that it wouldn't wade into health because health is too messy. You don't want to.
But health is just, it is such, everybody has to use these tools has said like how transformational it is for health questions. Just doctors are using it. I mean, the cat's out of the bag, I think. It's just what companies are realizing, which is still like really hard for Apple to realize, is that the winners right now are taking bigger risks and bigger leaps, right? This carefulness that Google had in the beginning allowed OpenAI to release ChatGPT first. Apple's carefulness is letting Google walk away with it. And I think there's an attitude within these companies that went from, whoa, let's be careful, to like, we got to do it or somebody else is gonna. And we're seeing it now. Like the health stuff is completely not being, like even your AI used to say, hey, I'm not a doctor. But now it's like full on like, yep, that's appendicitis. Okay, cut it out.
Should we do good product? Troy, what do you have? Give me a good product.
Okay. I mean, I had a week filled with bad products. I've had a lot of fraud on my primary bank account and on my Amex.
Oh, really?
And so I spent way too much time working through that. Closely related is I just got the memo from someone on YouTube actually that Amex is going to be charging $895 next year for the Platinum card. So in my household, that's $1,800.
Yeah, it's the price you pay for not being allowed into lounges at airports
into
because
the
they're
lounges.
full.
I use Amex to book hotels.
Same.
And when I get that, then I get, the $100 credit for the stay, and I get, I don't know, something else, free breakfast or something. Yeah. But 900 times 2 is a lot for a credit card that they make money off the.
I mean, I think they're obviously seeing that it's worthwhile. We're hearing that at the top end of spenders, that spend is only going up, right?
Don't you make enough off the merchants that I frequent?
I mean, that used to be the business model, but I think people are going to start paying for exclusivity. I mean, I think we're going to, and we're already starting to see it, like, get the better, there's like lounges, but then there's like lounges, right? That are like, that
yeah. So they have the Delta One lounge in JFK where you go through your own security.
Yes.
And you have a different lounge.
Yes.
One of the most overrated.
Have a third tier of, super VIP status where you just can elbow 6-year-olds out of the way to get it.
Yeah. Airport lounges.
Product of the week is a product.
Let Brian finish it.
Yeah. Airport lounges are one of the most overrated sort of travel, sort of quote unquote luxury products out there.
I love
they're just terrible.
I love walking around an airport.
Yeah. Don't go to the lounge. Is just, it's a pit of despair.
I always disagree with my wife. My wife just wants to go have the dry eggs at the lounge. And I like, just let's go sample the airport. It's like
the equivalent is I was staying in a Hyatt Regency during this event, and they're like, we have you on the 33rd floor and you have access to like the executive lounge, the Regency executive lounge. I was like, oh, fantastic. And it's like, it's a view of the Eiffel Tower. And I had some work to do. So those things are always awful, always awful.
True, man. I mean,
okay. I don't mean to besmirch the
I'm with Brian.
But I'm saying that
of all the places in Paris I spent,
the club floors in Asia are really good.
In Asia, yes.
Okay.
All hotels are better in Asia.
Yeah. Although I was in one in Osaka. There was a lot of smoking going on.
I like the club floor at the Ritz-Carlton in Miami, Brian.
Okay, you were smirking. That's you see, Troy's still a boy from Regina. So when he like says his Thurston Howell III.
Oh, he can't say no to a free coffee and a Biscoff.
Well,
all right.
Well, ahead, in I guess a sign, maybe media's too difficult. Our friends from Refinery 29, Justin and Philip, that did, I think, a great job with that brand while it lasted before it was sold to Vice. are now in the energy. Well, it's not really energy drink, but sort of coffee and tonic packaged.
Oh,
goods.
so they came out with this thing.
Yeah, and that would be my good product this week.
What's it called?
Espo.
Espo. And it's
ESSPO.
It's what is it? It's like a coffee in a can, but it's sparkling. What is it
It's
again?
sparkling coffee with 3 flavors. It's like coffee and tonic mixed together. It's refreshing, has 120 grams of caffeine.
No protein? Any CBD?
No CBD.
Any mushrooms?
No, I mean, that's maybe in future releases, but it does definitely give you a solid up, and it's going to hit the shelf soon.
All right, great. What is it again? Espo?
It's going to become the official drink of people.
What is it? What is it called?
It's called Espo, which a German friend of mine said to me is maybe unfortunately named because in, I don't know, street German, it could mean something kind of sexy.
Alex, you speak street German.
I don't speak street German, but you know what? You've all turned on. I mean, you were part of that. You would turn on your Mega Drive or something, and you'd hear the words Sega, right? The Sega Master System. Well, for every Italian person, it would say hand job. Like there's always a place where a word sounds like something else. You just got to get used to it. The question is that beneficial or not?
Is this the only carbonated coffee drink on the market? There might be a reason that there's not.
I want coffee burp.
I'm going to send you guys some of it. I hope that you like it. I think
please do, yeah.
The 3 flavors are lemon and some kind of cherry thing that tastes like Dr. Pepper and like a chai one that tastes a little like Coke.
Wait, hang on. I thought but it's coffee.
Lemon coffee.
Yeah, it's a flavored tonic together with coffee.
So it has coffee flavor and lemon flavor. Okay.
Yeah, it's delicious. Good
right.
product, boys.
I'm open.
That's it for this episode of People vs. Algorithms, where each week we uncover patterns shaping media, culture, and technology. Big thanks, as always, to our producer, Vanya Arsenov. She always makes us a little clearer and more understandable, and we appreciate her very, very much. If you're enjoying these conversations, we'd love for you to leave us a review. It helps us get the word out and keeps our community growing. Remember, you can find People vs. Algorithms on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and now on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
All right, I'm going to go have some Italian sushi.
Very nice.